Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out. Don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
The battle of the political manifestos is on in earnest after the JLP took over Sam Sharp's Square, Montego Bay, St. James on Sunday, presenting their manifesto to the public. A three-part document which adds education component to the big, broader document, and of course a pullout of 100 highlights. How does that stack up against the PNP's proposals, which has the added zinger of a $3.5 million income tax threshold as a sweetener on top of what has been presented already? The JLP talks about their manifesto and how, if at all, they're bothered by what Mark Golding and the PNP announced in Manchester on Sunday evening. It's the first day of the week. Lead Story will be here every day, right through the way till Friday. Let's start the show. Welcome to Lead Story here on this Monday. It's the Monday after the day before, where the JLP took over Sam Sharp Square in St. James. The PNP, meanwhile, were corking Monday. So both parties having a mass event to pull out their supporters and to tell them good things ahead of the election on September 3. Now, the JLP's manifesto was highly anticipated. They promised to deliver a high-tech document with the things they say Jamaicans are needing or will need from them when they give them a third term in office, is what the Labour Rights said. And in case you missed the highlights of what their presentation were, and of course, in case you missed the 3.5 zinger that the PNP have added to the political mix in the last, 18 hours or so, we have this prepared for you.
Jamaica Labour Party leader Dr. Andrew Holness at a mass rally in St. James on Sunday.
Over time, we will reduce the base rate of personal income tax from 25 to 15% on a phased basis and shift gradually from direct to indirect taxation, which will allow hard-working Jamaicans to keep more of their paycheck.
While that was happening over in Manchester at their own mass rally, this was People's National Party President Mark Golding.
Under the PNP government that is to come, we will be increasing the tax threshold so that persons who currently pay tax at 25%, if they're earning up to $3.5 million a year, they will be paying tax at 0%.
Currently, a personal income tax rate of 25% is applied to the salaries of persons earning over $1.7 million annually, 30% for income exceeding $6 million. Notably, of the roughly 1.4 million employed people in Jamaica, about 700,000 are subjected to pay taxes, and of that group, just 30% earn above the income tax threshold. Economist Keenan Faulkner is questioning the fiscal sustainability of the JLP and PNP's proposals. He maintains it's highly unlikely for either proposals to be implemented in the next 2 years.
We are projected to run a fiscal deficit of around $33 to $35 billion, or around 1% of GDP in the next 2 fiscal years. So the phased implementation of either of them, I think, will have to start at least from fiscal year 2027, 2028, and possibly be concluded by the end of the next parliamentary term or early into the following term after that. So it is likely to be of the magnitude of billions, tens of billions of dollars, at least $20 billion on each side.
But who'll foot that bill?
If the parties do not want to impose taxes, and I'm sure members of the electorate don't really want to hear that in order to fund this, then what other potential areas will get cut? Or are you willing now as a government to run a larger fiscal deficit than you had initially programmed?
He says, however, there may be room for flexibility given recent reports which suggest that Jamaica is making significant progress in reducing its debt to GDP ratio.
That potentially possibly opens up some amount of fiscal space in order to accommodate this additional absorption of revenue. But we're not quite sure what that might look like. 5% anticipated when the debt to GDP ratio declined from 63% to 62%, can afford you potentially an additional $200 billion, depending on the priorities and the needs of expenditure for the government. So it is all now to see how that can be recalibrated over the next couple of years to see if we can sustainably afford this in the medium term.
Amoy Harriet, CVM News.
Thank you, Amoy. Break time here. After the break, Marlon Morgan, the JLP's Communication Task Force senior member.
Is a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
Jamaica Labour Party is doing more for you and your pocket. No new taxes in 8 years. We have created over 250,000 new jobs. That's more Jamaicans working than ever before. Across every industry, we have delivered real progress, real performance, not just promises. We're doing more for you, and we're not done yet. Choose results you can count on. Put your X beside the bell.
The proceeding was a paid announcement by the Jamaica Labour Party.
It's the dawn of a new day, and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation is shaping a future filled with opportunities and limitless possibilities. The government is building the foundation for a thriving tomorrow through strategic billion-dollar investments that fuel industries, facilitate an environment for job creation, and empower communities to rise. We are transforming Jamaica with world-class sustainable infrastructure, creating a nation where every Jamaican can achieve more and build a lasting legacy. The Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, investing today, building a future for tomorrow.
Millions of people are attacked by harmful mouth bacteria. The root cause of bad breath, gum problems, cavities, plaque, and tartar. That's why Colgate combined the best science and technology in Colgate Total. Unlike others, its superior formula fights bacteria and creates a powerful protective barrier for up to 24 hours to prevent them from coming back. Take control of your oral health with Colgate Total.
Back with us here on Lead Story. So the manifestos are out. Both parties have shown their hand in terms of what they intend to do should they get a mandate from the people of Jamaica on September 3 to proceed with managing government for the next 5 years. And we are in a very good position to compare and contrast in this political beauty contest ahead of that very important day, September 3. Marlon Morgan is a senior member of the JLP's Communications Task Force, and he joins me this evening to talk about what the government has put on the table. Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening, George, and let me say good evening to your viewers.
Thank you very much. Had you waiting for a while, but here we go, Marlon Morgan. So the JLP's manifesto sets out many things. So comprehensive, the party is saying the document was that it had to pull out the education segment to stand on its own and then pull out another 100 highlights. Based on the initial feedback from persons inside and outside the party, are they telling you that you've done a good job?
Well, absolutely. That has been the overwhelming feedback. Recall, George, we have structured this campaign of ours. We have been very intentional and deliberate in the number of elements to our campaign. The viewers at home and indeed labor rights up and down the country will recall and appreciate that 3 or so Wednesdays ago, we took to the streets of Jamaica with what was called a media blitz, where we essentially had our document of achievements, some 256 achievements, and we found out across the country, led by our party leader, and essentially issued those out as our report card, as it were, our way of accounting to the people of Jamaica how we have acquitted ourselves and how we have served as stewards over their resources and, of course, Enterprise Jamaica. And so that signaled and heralded the start of our campaign. And then, of course, that dovetailed into the calling of the elections by the Most Honorable Prime Minister and then the subsequent activities. And so there was a lot of anticipation, as you may appreciate, leading up to the launch of our manifesto. And so we were quite intentional in terms of having the manifesto launched at a public event, taking it to the streets, taking it to the people, rather than, just locking ourselves away in the typical way in the confines of a hotel somewhere around New Kingston.
Let me ask you this now. So whenever it is that tax is to be reduced, you have something you call revenue give back. The government foregoes revenue it would have collected if the regime stayed in place. Have you done those calculations from 25 to 15 or under a phased implementation? What is the revenue give up that the government is contemplating to make this 1.5, this 15% work? Go again?
We know it will be in the order of tens of billions, but just to be very clear, in terms of the undergirding principle and strategy of what the JLP is proposing and what we're intent on doing, we are guided by a particularly disciplined and philosophical approach here, which is to ensure that in how we seek to reform taxes in the country, we are fair, we are focused, we're doing it on a phased basis, and we're seeking to be fiscally responsible and quite disciplined in doing that. Because we know there are some individual and collective sacrifices, George, that have been made over a number of years to get Enterprise Jamaica to the point where we are at now, where we're seeing a reduction in debt, somewhere in the region of close to 62% debt to GDP ratio, a cutting of the poverty rate in half, essentially a cutting of crime and so on, and of course, increase in people's earnings.
I want to take you up on the debt reduction. I want to take you up on the debt reduction because, again, this is the administration that has told the country that by $100,000 increments, it will eventually get to $2 million as the income tax threshold, and that's programmed to take place by 2027. Alongside that, as a parallel mission, you are now seeing income tax, the base rate, will be moved from 25 to 15%. Can both parallel lines be pursued successfully with the pace and ability to reduce the debt left uncompromised is the question.
And the short answer to that, George and viewers, is yes, because the truth of the matter is that from as far back as 2016, in terms of an expression of policy statement and economic policy intent, we have indicated that it is our resolve to strategically move from direct taxes in terms of a reliance on direct and income taxes to more of a reliance on consumption-related taxes. And this was the backdrop to 1.5 back in March of 2016, because going into those elections of February 2016, we came with the 1.5 tax plan. And having done the heavy lifting that we have done, George, we would not be irresponsible and do anything that would impair or compromise the economic gains.
Answer me this though. Are we in a new space, Marlon Morgan, of what I'm going to term as forward promising? Because here's the thing, usually when an election is nigh and manifestos are on the table, a political party usually promises something that is going to take effect immediately after it comes into office. Here we have the JLP saying that gradually is going to get to 15% as the base income tax rate. We already knew before that the income tax threshold is going to move to $2 million eventually. And then we have the PNP saying 3.5 to come at some point. Are we now, because both parties are locked in this battle to win the heart and minds of voters, that we are forward promising the goodies to the electorate?
There is a sharp distinction that has to be drawn, George, because I note your characterization of it, and the truth of the matter is that the people of Jamaica will have to consider, and we in Team JLP are imploring them so to do, consider the set of people who have given solid commitments in relation to tax reform in this country and have actually delivered on those commitments. Consider the set of people, that is the JLP, as government over these past 2 terms, who have essentially responsibly managed the reins of government in this country such that we have been able to afford government workers, George and viewers, the highest levels of increases in their salaries and that they have gotten historically. and we have done compensation review. We have been able to give back more to the Jamaican people. We are the set of people who have demonstrated by our actions, which is why, as I said at the start of the interview, we have been deliberate and intentional by going to the people first and foremost with our enviable record of achievement. So if anything here, you have a bankable set of actions here, because we are a set of people in whom the public can repose.
Quick one before the break. Quick one before the break, Marlon Morgan. Given what the JLP has set out in its manifesto that it wants to do on the fiscal space, is it that your record of no new net taxes ends this point, that this is the last of it, because you're going to have to do a tax package to fund what you say you want to do with the income tax threshold?
Absolutely not, George. And I'll tell you this.
Hold it right here. Just hold it right here. We're going to take the explanation afterwards. This is Lead Story here on Monday.
Is paving the way to becoming a republic, or future or choice. The time by the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs is
6:45. Stay cool this summer with Frigidaire and Panasonic in the Singer Summer Sale event. Frigidaire fridges and freezers are now at super low prices, so you can be cool and comfortable all summer long. And with up to 40% off bedroom sets and sectionals, you save big on furniture. Only Singer has 4 months for cash and 9 months no interest. Shop today. Offers end soon.
From first steps on campus to graduation day, we've been with you through every chapter. Introducing the new face of the Students Loan Bureau, a fresh identity designed for your future. The bold step forward with a fresh look for a future-focused mission, still rooted in trust, service, and possibility, while continuing to uphold our core values of integrity, accountability, respect, teamwork, excellence, and customer focus. It reflects who we are today, modern, resilient, and evolving with the people we serve. This isn't just a new logo, it's a renewed commitment. The Students Loan Bureau, building bridges, transforming dreams.
Ashman's Equipment, the new name in forklift sales and rentals in Jamaica. Top quality, low prices, fleet discounts available, 12-month warranty, free service parts, daily rentals, crazy cheap. Ashman's Equipment, same forklift, better deals.
Jamaica's agriculture is on the move, and the world is watching. This September, discover how sustainable agribusiness, global reach, local impact is transforming our future. At JAIF 2025, the Jamaica Agribusiness Investment Forum, explore financing opportunities, forge powerful partnerships, and connect with global markets ready for Jamaican products. Join us in Montego Bay, September 17 to 19, and plant the seed that will take your agribusiness to the next level. Register today at agribizjamaica.com. Let's grow Jamaica's agricultural future together.
With us here on Lead Story in the dying embers of the show, speaking with Marlon Morgan, a senior member of the JLP's Communications Task Force. Marlon Morgan, you already answered no to the previous question. Time doesn't allow me to stay with it. Let's move on because there's much to talk about otherwise.
So I was just about to make a point that leadership and track record matters. That's all I'd like to say. Very well. Matter. And the public can bank on the JLP's demonstrated track record.
The manifesto has things like, for instance, Farmers Pension Fund. It has a program to help persons who, as we say in Jamaica, can't finish up their house to do just that. And it has something very interesting that, and I'm highlighting these three because I've never heard of these things discussed, certainly not in the manifesto or certainly not on the political front burner, but a program to raise awareness and to seek after treatment for perimenopausal and menopausal women. I put those three to you and ask you what are the specific things which influence the JLP to put this in a manifesto as a vote catcher potentially.
Well, I'll tell you this, George. There are instances in which governments and political parties have tended to see themselves as having the prescription and, of course, the medicine for the challenges confronting the society. We were very deliberate and intentional in availing ourselves of the people, consulting with them, and a number of the initiatives set out in our manifesto, including this initiative as well, where we're providing support for childcare to women who have born children since 2022 and are seeking to enroll at heart. In short, our initiatives have been informed by the people in some instances and the thought of the cabinet at its various retreats in other instances. I am particularly excited about this pensions for farmers because I am the grandchild, essentially the grandson of a farmer. And a farmer on both sides. My maternal grandfather and paternal grandfather were really farmers. And I know the deficit we have in this country in terms of these men who would have toiled in their working years. And when they get to a point of not being able to till the soil and go out and move cattle and attend to their sweet potato and their yam, they fall into a challenging state if it is that they do not have grandchildren who are considered like myself, who will help to support them in their latter years. And so we think this is game changing. It will essentially attract persons into the profession because it is one other layer of social protection. In the same way this government has treated with people in the cultural industries. The entertainers now have, George, and this is a record achievement as well, health coverage. We have talked about it over many years. They have advocated for it over many years. And this wholeness-led government has not promised this, but has actually delivered on insurance coverage for entertainers. We're seeking to do the same for farmers in relation to social support and by way of pensions. And the people of Jamaica can look to these innovative and game-changing things and draw a lot of comfort from them. Jamaica is in state hands, George, with the JLP.
For the first time in a long time, I don't see anything substantial in a manifesto by a party seeking re-election about crime. You say that the plans are deliberate and intentional. Is the JLP sending a message to us that they think that they've cracked the code and there's no need for a comprehensive approach to taming the crime monster over a long-term perspective? I want to hear your perspective on that.
George, the worst thing that could happen to Enterprise Jamaica is for government to become complacent and for government to, essentially consider itself as having gotten out of the woods. Jamaica still has an epidemic of violence. We do have a challenge of violence, although we have had sustained reduction in murders. And so the truth of the matter is that we're not out of the woods as yet, as it were, in relation to crime management. If you note, though, public discourse is concentrated right now on some other aspects of national life here in Jamaica, as we saw in the social issues debate just this past Saturday. But just to be clear, we have our policy support, our legislative support is in place, and in terms of resources, we continue to fund the strategic imperatives of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JDF, and of course, all other law enforcement agencies to consolidate, George and listeners, an ecosystem of order and public stability where law enforcement and crime fighting
what's that, Marlon? What's that revolutionary thing or transformational thing? Let's use a softer word, which is along the same trajectory. What transformational thing is the JLP planning to do for education sufficient for it to pull an election manifesto out of the manifesto?
Well, there are a number of things, and one of the things we have to appreciate here as well, George, is that how we see our outlook in addressing some of the intractable problems in Jamaica, including education and education outcomes in the country, yes, is doing a number of things and getting a number of things right simultaneously. So one of those things that will be transformational is the whole business of retrofitting laboratories at school and ensuring that our school children here, George, in our public education system have the latest and fit-for-purpose infrastructure, because that has been a deficit. There should be no reason why the exciting and game-changing professions of the future. We often speak of the Industrial Revolution 4.0, which is at our doorsteps now, robotics and animation and mechatronics and so on. We speak of these things, but we do not adequately give support to them. Now that public finances are allowing us as a government to better respond, STETS is getting a mechatronics lab. Some other schools, technical high schools, are getting state-of-the-art laboratories, whether in robotics, animation, and some of those other cutting-edge areas, which will better position our youngsters in a game-changing way with those new and exciting careers of the future, George.
Both parties, Marlon, the last point, both parties have said a lot about what they will do through the Students' Loan Bureau for students who have to borrow to fund their tertiary education. What convinces you, or what is it that you've set out in the manifesto that should satisfy someone that the JLP's plan through the SLB is better than that tabled by the PNP?
George, there's nothing more convincing and compelling than personal experience. A number of the people who serve in the Holness-led cabinet, to include Holness himself, in addition to our consultations and the representation made by the students themselves, have informed our suite of proposals. And certainly when you consider the reforms that were announced in the budget debate this past March, in terms of having the Student Loan Bureau, not only treating with loans in relation to the substantial tuition, but also providing loans that will attend to living expenses, accommodation, the cost of books and other learning supplies, a laptop computer, and nutrition. This is game-changing because many of the persons who are serving in the cabinet, people like Floyd Green, people like Andrew Holness, others like Robert Morgan, my good friend, and others, these are people who live the struggle. And can identify with how it was and what it was like being on the campus and not knowing where the next meal in some instances would come from. So this is serious. This is about learning from and listening to the stakeholders and employing a bottom-up approach to creating our manifesto rather than thinking that government is the repository of all solutions and all ideas and initiatives and seeking to implement things from the top down.
Hear you on that. Thank you very much for your time, Marlon Morgan. All the best to you.
All the best, George. I look forward to sharing in subsequent editions of the program. All the best, my brother.
Thank you very much. Marlon Morgan there, senior communications, senior member of the JLP's Communications Task Force. And he's busy right now helping the team JLP to get ready for the second debate, which is set for Tuesday, the debate on the economy. It will feature the opposition spokesman on finance, leading one team against the Minister of Finance. The opposition spokesman will be supported by Peter Bunting and Kisha Anderson, the PNP's treasurer. And the finance minister will have with her the health minister, Dr. Chris Tufton, and the education minister, Dr. Dana Morris-Dixon.